Yeah, so the surface level story is that 10 teenagers have been banished from their town. It's kind of like medieval dark fantasy. They live in a small, poor town in the middle of nowhere, and they mistakenly burn down the town's religious center while they're kind of messing about inside. They're teenagers, they're being teenagers. And unfortunately, everybody in the town rallies against them and they are banished. Except surrounding this town is this really oppressive primeval forest called the Wildlands. And it's the story is kind of about these 10 teenagers who have to learn to survive in this wilderness. And they're cut off from everything that they knew and loved as children. They cut off from the life that they were expecting to have. So the first book in the series, The Great Leap, it sees the group of 10 split because every large group of friends has cliques, individual sort of like little groups of friends. And ultimately that's what happens. They split up. They all get different ideas about what they should be doing. And they split. And in doing so, it's actually given me a really interesting opportunity to explore parallel stories. So book 1 and book 2 are like they run in parallel. One is about one group and the other is about the other group. And there's been really interesting ways for me to tie the stories together and interlink them. And given that this was kind of always the case, like always the part of the plan, when reading The Great Leap, there will be some things that happen in there. And then when you read Stone Cold Blood, the sequel, you'll go, oh, that's why that happened. They'll be kind of like, they'll be almost talking to each other, despite the fact that the characters are separate and the events are separate. Yeah. So The Great Leap primarily centers around a 16-year-old girl called Fleeta, who's hiding a dark secret about what happened in the moments leading up to their banishment. So her and 3 others are trying to survive. She's a twin, so her twin brother's there. She's kind of thrilled at having this newfound freedom because, she's experienced a traumatic childhood. Her twin brother is combating sort of withdrawal from narcotics, and others are kind of, they're all sort of like hanging by threads because they're all like low income teenagers in a poor town in the middle of nowhere that's kind of really got nothing better to do in the town, and now they're kind of like they're very dysfunctional and they're having to try and find a way to survive. And obviously, while it's never as simple as just a survival story, because whilst they're out there, they eventually realize that they're not alone out there and that they're being hunted. So yeah, they seem to sort of like, they start developing these magical powers that they don't know where they came from. They don't know why it's happening to them. But you'll have to read it and find out to see whether these abilities ultimately help or hinder the group,